It's a story of Britain, of the British people, an island race, a maritime nation, and a globally outward-looking nation, a trading nation. It's a story of entrepreneurs, of engineers, of scientists. It is a story of the British people. I am British, I am very proud to be British, and I am a patriot. I have a moral sense about this. This party was fundamental in bringing about the referendum. It was instrumental in bringing about the result. And I think we have a moral responsibility, a duty to this country to engage constructively to make sure it works. Particularly when we have a government that is clearly failing to plan and prepare for Brexit. And the only party that you will find anywhere in Britain able to deliver that opposition is ours, is the United Kingdom Independence Party. No matter where on that spectrum, left-right spectrum, it fits, traditionally, and how it might be seen. No matter whether it is left, right or centre, if it is the right solution for the people or businesses suffering from the problem, then that is the solution that should be applied. Under my leadership, I will turn UKIP into a state-of-the-art example of outstanding internal communications up, down and across the party. The party is its members, the members are the party. And anybody who forgets that should think again. I know how Brussels works. I worked there for 3 years. I was leader of strategic and operational planning for common security and defence policy, with particular responsibility for North Africa, including Libya and Ukraine. In fact, it was my experience in Brussels that convinced me, or took me from being a Eurosceptic to an absolutely passionate believer that we needed to get out of there. I'm straight up to date with how Whitehall is thinking and what it's doing. I've effectively worked for the British government and for Whitehall on a contracted basis, not as a civil servant, but not as a consultant either, and some sort of grey area in between. For the last 20 years, I know how government works. I know how the civil service works. That, I would suggest to you, is an important experience for the leader of this party. The history content of our national curriculum is seriously lacking. If we ourselves don't educate our children as to our history, then they will have no respect for the people who went before us, and as a result I believe that the people who go after us will have no respect for them. The funding of independent schools in this country by Saudi Arabia and Qatar must end. We need to reduce our dependence on degrees. And you may or may not be aware that Tony Blair's big target of getting 50% of everybody to university really rather stems from the European Union. Yes, I'm going to blame them again. And let me give you a specific example. The Central European Police College advocates that every EU member state should have a recruitment process for its police that requires that police recruits to have a degree. Now, I don't believe that a degree in medieval English literature, for example, makes you a good police officer, or even a potentially good police officer. I believe it's about communication skills, it's about having a little bit of experience of real life. I believe it's problem-solving skills, it's courage, it's moral integrity. It's all of those things that actually goes together to make a good, effective police officer. If you've got a degree, then it's fine, that's good. But you don't need one to become a police officer or a soldier, or for that matter, a nurse. However, we're signed up to this because of our linkages with the European Union. And what does that do? That makes everybody aspire to go down the course of an academic pursuit rather than the practical things that we need. And there are people I know who are perfectly capable of getting a degree, but they want to do something else. We're creating a culture of, if you don't have a degree, you're a second-class citizen, and that is unacceptable. And there's the big issue about tuition fees, isn't there? And it's costing a fortune. It's costing them a fortune, and it's putting them into long-term debt. And with house prices and so on, it's also taking them out of the housing market, probably for decades. So, what to do about it? Well, if we reduce the dependence on degrees, do we not reduce the amount of money that is being spent on tuition fees, aren't we taking people away from a system that is forcing them into debt? I think we are. So in that respect, I think there is a knock-on effect, a positive knock-on effect in relation to reducing the dependence on degrees. And of course, staying with tuition fees and so on, I believe the cost of axing tuition fees in their entirety at the moment is going to be prohibitive, particularly when we need to reverse things like the cuts to border force and policing. However, I do also believe that there is plenty of scope to reduce the tuition fees and reduce debt through that approach as well. Now, I believe it is for the country to decide whether or not we should have an English Parliament. I think it needs to be very carefully thought through, but let me say absolutely categorically, I believe in the United Kingdom, I believe in the Union, I believe in England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. I believe we are stronger together than we will ever be divided. And if some people want to separate us, then I think they are doing us all harm. This country requires a national border strategy. It requires a properly joined up approach. So I would take us out of Dublin 3, and you know what, European Union? Then it becomes your problem because we're sending them back to you.